wouldn't have taken it out in the first place. And that's what you have, is this social experiment where everyone's equal and everybody gets their own way to do things. You can wear a turban now. Women can be in combat. There'll be SEALs. The problem is you're destabilizing a thing where the margins are so razor thin, and it's just not worth it.
I mean, I feel like it's a psychological thing. You know, when you have men who have trained their entire lives, who have held themselves to that high standard, who have fought day in and day out, beaten their bodies, suppressed their emotions from combat, and to go out here and then to almost feel like they're being used, like you said earlier, as they're part of the social experiment. That's got to have a huge psychological toll on these elite soldiers as well.
A massive psychological toll. And the other thing, too, is the same groups that are advocating for equal women's rights and equal everything, equal everybody, are the same people who are now complaining because they're considering putting women in for the draft. Now, if women are truly equal, why do we have different standards? Why do we have them not registered for the draft? Why do we have male and female sports team? If everybody's equal, let's just make it all equal across the board. But the fact is, we're not. And I know that some feminists out there are going to freak out, but the fact of the matter is most women are not as strong as most men. And that's just science. It's not like I could physically not birth a baby. That is the reality of it. But you cannot start making social experiments out of the one force that is solely responsible for the entire defense of the United States and our way of life.
I mean, what do you think that the enemy is doing right now, sitting over there? There's enemy here, obviously, and there's enemies over there overseas as well in the pond, over in theater. What do you think they're thinking about us right now when they see men identifying as women so they can go use the women's restroom, or a white woman like Rachel Dolezal who identifies as a black female? I think if she can identify as a black female and we can all have to walk around and say that she's an African American, that she should be able to get reparations for slavery.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, if I could say anything to those guys overseas laughing at us, I'm a white American that identifies as the person who's going to kick your ass. So we can put that any way you want. But they're laughing at this. I mean, it's disgusting.
I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, we could pull up articles, day in and day out where, I can't remember what it was. I think it was about 8 months ago. There was an article in the Military Times or the Army Times where they showed soldiers in red high heels marching down the road to see what it was like to walk a day in the, in women's shoes or whatever. ISIS, all these people, communists overseas who hate us, hate our freedom, hate what we represent, hate everything about America, are looking at these articles. They see the same stuff that we're seeing, and they're laughing, and they're sitting there going, all right, this is too easy. Let's plan our next move. And we saw what happened in Paris. We saw what happened in San Bernardino. We know that our southern borders are wide open. We know there's a good chance that there is ISIS already down there. I went down to El Paso and actually crossed over into Juarez and went over to Anapra by myself to investigate some judicial watch reports about ISIS training camps. Well, thank you for coming on again, once again. Carl Higbie, former Navy SEAL, author of Enemies Foreign and Domestic, a SEAL Story, co-author Brandon Caro, who actually wrote his own book, The Old Silk Road. And thanks for joining us tonight on the InfoWars Nightly News. I'm Joe Biggs.
That's right, and Joe Biggs is right here as well.
Roger that.
And Joe, what are some afterthoughts on that interview now that we're live on air? Anything you want to add?
I mean, like you said, the big thing is what he was saying is this is a social experiment that's going on. We are playing games with our elite soldiers and our regular soldiers as well. It's a psychological game that's really going to have some bad after effects down the road, because we know our enemy doesn't drop their standards. We know our enemy is watching everything we do. They watch the news just like us. When they were going after Saddam and raiding after his sons, those guys were watching CNN just, well, they knew troops were coming. So they see that we have soldiers walking around in red high heels. We have them doing all this political correctness BS. It's just out of control. Like you said, our job is to put bullets in bad guys, plain and simple. That's it. It's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it to keep this country safe and to make sure that the Constitution's still there and uphold that.
So it's kind of like the opposite of propaganda. Instead of intimidating your enemies and striking fear into their hearts, it's making them laugh at you. It's a good tactic, right? Well, hey, we'll be right back. One more segment with Joe Biggs. This is the 4th hour. Much more to come. We are back, and we just saw on Drudge Report on the right side. We're going to pull it up right now. What's the title, Joe? It's
get ready for this one, guys. Can white kids grow up to be black? Some preschoolers think so. Good. You're a preschooler. You don't know what the hell you want for lunch. You can't tie your own shoes, but you think that you can be black as a white kid.
And we know why that's happening, and we're going to talk about that. First, I want to remind you at InfoWarsLife.com, Survival Shield X2. It's 20% off. It's a game-changing product. Nascent iodine, it's what you need. It's the good halogen. Without iodine, very bad things happen. Go to InfoWarsLife.com. This is not some joke. This is not some scam. This is not some fear-mongering BS. Nascent iodine is the real deal. I've seen it made. I've gone to the facility with Dr. Group. I've seen the curation process from 12,000 feet below the Earth's surface with the purple iodine crystals that are extracted. He is neurotic and obsessive about his quality to the point where it actually annoys me. It's the real deal, okay? And Survival Shield X2, the flagship product, is 20% off for a limited time or until it sells out. So go to InfoWarsLife.com and check that out. Now, we talked earlier about this article Kit just gave me. 90% of Native Americans not offended by Washington Redskins' name. And now this article, I guess preschool kids think that white kids can grow up to be black. And what's funny to me is that all of this could be solved if we could just go back to kindergarten. And, you know, in kindergarten, the kids play with each other and they don't say weird things like, you're being racist by smiling at me. That's a reference to, apparently it's a microaggression if you smile at other people, other races or something. It's a news story. So anyway, they don't say things like that. They don't say like, you're giving me a microaggression. They just play together. You know, you just sit down and you have fun. It's only when the weird school system comes in and goes, see him? He's a different color than you. You will like him and you'll respect him. And that one's different color too. And they look different than you. And that's a male and that's a female. And you will all like each other and you're all equal. It's like, wait a minute. What? You know, I don't even know what's happening. And now this is an example of that mega PC system going wrong to where the kids think that, I guess, that you can change your race when you get older.
I guess I didn't turn out that way because I was homeschooled. And I didn't go through the brainwashing cycle that is happening right now. But look at this. It says, can a person's race change over time? No, but preschoolers seem to think so. And this is what your job as a parent to do. Hey, snap out of it. No, you're white. You're a white male. No, you're not going to be black. You're not going to be a black man later on down the road. That doesn't happen. We're not chameleons. We don't change to our environment. You are a white guy. Sorry if you don't like it. But it says, according to a University of Michigan study, white preschoolers often believe a person's race can change over time, and the youngsters even think they can grow up to be black adults.
Well, if you put your mind to it, Joe.
Look, when I have to get on Drudge Report, and the stories are preschoolers think, white kids think they can be black, and there's a woman eating someone's face. The world's going down.
And it's so funny because all of this is just contrived media BS to where they just push it so hard like the Redskins thing. When Native Americans has been polled over and over again, they don't care.
Yeah,
They're
more
not
things
offended.
to worry about.
There's more things to worry about. There's real life things happening. But instead, it's the wheel. It's the system.
They're more worried about their land being taken.
They're more worried about the things that we're all worried about. The world, the terrible things happening in the world.
Food on their plate.
Not the ridiculousness
Security
of an NFL team, which, by the way, is also a complete distraction and a joke in itself. So that should be the real discussion, right? But over and over again, we see that, and that's kind of the extreme end of what happens when you take preschoolers and you start educating them about political correctness. They don't even know what you're talking about. Then they end up thinking that they can grow up and change their race. That's what happens.
Ridiculous.
That's what happens. The truth is, preschoolers want to get along with each other, and guess what? They're not racist.
Tom, you want to
Breaking
be
news,
Tamaya?
preschoolers are not racist.
Tom, you want to be Tamaya now? That's okay. No, you're Tom. Go throw a football, put on some shorts, go run, go jog, eat Wheaties. You're not playing with Barbie dolls.
Preschoolers are not racist. I'm not racist. I'm Anthony Gucciardi with Joe Biggs. Thanks so much for putting up with our jargon on the fourth hour of the Alex Jones Show. Alex will be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central. Thanks so much.